Good morning, everyone. My name is Patrick McCarthy, and I'm the Policy Advisor at Veal Farmers of Ontario. Welcome to the third talk in VFO's new Managing Risk, Mastering Markets on-demand webinar series. This series is designed for grain-fed veal producers and offers expert insights and practical strategies to effectively navigate the complexities of today's market dynamics. Joining us today from Agriculture Credit Corporation is Scott Clark, Vice President, Marketing and Communications. Today, he will discuss ACC's flexible funding solutions to help you manage costs and focus on building a thriving operation. Over to you, Scott.
Thanks again, Patrick and Jennifer. My name is Scott Clark, and I'm the VP Marketing. Sorry, been a long day. I'm VP Marketing with Agricultural Credit Corp, based in Guelph. And although we do programs, we administer programs in Ontario, Quebec, BC, and some in the prairies as well. So today I'm going to talk about mainly our flagship operating finance program, which is the Advanced Payments Program, and we'll talk a bit about how it applies to Veal specifically. So today I'll give a quick overview of who we are as an organization, and then I'll talk about some of the specifics of the Advanced Payments Program, and that'll include eligible products, which of course we're focusing on Veal here, but you can kind of see the array of products that are funded by this government program. We'll talk a bit about savings expectations because I think often you talk to people. I talk to people when I'm out and about with trade shows and say, "Oh, you can save a few percent versus what your bank is offering," but um, those few percent can often translate to thousands of dollars in interest that we can save producers in the context of this program in terms of their operating lending, their operating borrowing. Then I'm going to talk a bit about some additional information about the APP and ACC, and then of course a call to action to just say, hey, how do you apply for this program? It's very easy, and I'll walk you through that. So, who is Agricultural Credit Corporation? Well, we were founded in 1992 by the in Ontario by the wheat farmers, the soy farmers, and the corn farmers, and they put us together as a nonprofit organization for the express purpose of administering government programs for farmers. The first one being the Advanced Payments Program, and that is a federal program that offers funds at either prime rate or lower, with an interest-free portion for producers in Ontario. And since then, we've branched out and we're offering the APP in Quebec and BC as well for various commodities. The nice thing about the APP is it offers, a lot less interest that you have to pay, and we'll get into the specifics of that. But it also gives timing that can be a lot more helpful in terms of allowing the producer to borrow when they need the money and not have to pay ACC back until they've been paid. And that means that cash flow continuity is a lot better for the producer instead of making some kind of withdraw of a line of credit or a term loan and having to start paying interest right away. This works around that. So it allows producers and ranchers to base sales decisions a little more on market conditions that are good for them, out instead of just looking at the interest payment schedule. Now we are, although we were founded by three main groups, we now have, I think we're up to 20 member groups, of which veal farmers and beef farmers are two. And you can see a lot of other commodities: ginseng, apples, greenhouse. And now we even have the Canadian Federation of Agriculture, the OFA, and the British Columbia Nursery and Landscape. So we're starting to get a lot more members, and what that does is allows these organizations to have someone on our board if they'd like, and be able to have a bit of a say in how we run our nonprofit corporation. And of course, we try and do our utmost to share, reciprocally, information and news and that kind of thing with all of our members. So why borrow from us? Well, the Advanced Payments Program, as I said, it has an interest-free portion of the loan up to $250,000. And the remainder, if you were to borrow more than that, you'd never borrow more than the prime rate. We have a little bit of a less rigorous credit risk profiling system simply because there's a government guarantee. And really, we're when you call us, not only do we have great customer service, but some of the people on the phone actually have, either are live on a farm or have grown up on a farm. We really understand farmers and farmers in a lot of different parts of the sector, whether it's livestock or crop or what have you. So, we're really focused because we're not a bank per se. We are a nonprofit. Our raison d'etre is supporting farmers, not just with, better loan terms and interest-free money, but also in terms of customer service and making sure that they get a really good experience working with us in terms of getting their working capital beginning of their year. So advanced payments program, what are the numbers? Well, you get up to $1 million. Again, that's based on the size of your operation, how much crop you're going to sell. But so you may not qualify for all of a million, but we do have those farmers that do. But the limit is $1 million. And right now for 2025, the program year has started. But fear not, you can always apply. And the first $250,000 of that is interest free. And if you were to borrow more than that, let's say you borrowed 300,000, you would have an interest-free portion of 250 and the other $50,000 would be at 4.95%. So what that does is if you compare it to what you might pay in your bank line of credit, 4.95% is probably less than you're paying, and zero, which is what you're paying on the first 250 quarter million, that is definitely less than you're going to be paying on your bank line of credit. So this gives you an impetus, a reason to borrow from us instead of going through your bank. Now, having said that, banks don't hate us because we don't compete with them in things like mortgages or tractor leases, anything like that. The things that they're most profitable in are those things, and the least profitable of what they do are loans like this, which are working capital, short-term kind of lines of credit. So they're okay allowing us to work with you on this because you get a better interest rate, and they still hold your business and all those other things, and so you can still have a good relationship with your banker and with ACC. The way it works is basically you have up to 18 months to pay us back. That's kind of on a normal crop loan, and I'll talk a bit about specifically how it applies to the veal market, livestock market in a couple minutes. But this is really the advanced payments program is out there. There's no hidden fees or catches, if you will. Whatever you qualify for, you can get up to 250 interest free. I think our average loan size is probably about 200,000. Just given the general size of farms in Ontario, what people are looking to borrow, they really like to have that interest-free money and being able to pay us back after they've been paid. So that really is, it allows you a bit of a break on your interest cost within the given year. So, of course, we're focusing today on livestock, veal specifically, but this program covers a lot of ground. And pretty much if you grow it, we can fund it. The only exceptions to that are supply managed things such as poultry, eggs, and dairy. So, basically beef, cattle, veal, other types of livestock like pigs and goats and sheep, all that kind of thing, we fund that. So, if you're a veal farmer that also has other crops on your farm that you sell, then you may be able to take advantage of that for that part of your production. And again, when you call in, we'll be able to walk you through the application so you can kind of figure out how to structure your loan and what the repayment terms look like and that kind of thing. So how much can you save? And this is a very powerful slide that I like to show. This slide is actually a snapshot from last year, where it was $250,000 interest free. Our prime rate was a little higher at that point. It was 5.45, but now of course it's down to 4.95. But basically, it doesn't change the numbers that much. So the way I've structured this is in that first column that says ACC savings, bank rate prime plus one. So let's say your bank rate is 6.45%. And you say, you know what? I'm going to borrow from ACC. How much can you save in interest? Well, if you borrow $100,000, you're going to save over $6,000. Okay. If you borrow a million, you're going to save $23,000. If your bank rate in that middle column is 7.45%, you borrow a quarter million, we're going to save you $18,000 in interest just for that portion of the year that you borrow it. Now, there is a fee, and that fee is $1,000. Excuse me, that no matter how much you borrow, the fee is $1,000 for the program year. There's no other hidden costs, no other surprises. So even if you take that $1,000 off, we're going to be saving you thousands of dollars in interest costs on your operating line or your operating borrowing. Um, so what a lot of farmers talk to me about is the climate we're in now, and whether you want to talk about tariffs or input prices going up, inflationary elements to the economy. There's not a lot of places a farmer can save. You can't cut corners on a lot of elements of your business, whether it's feed or crops or labor, what have you. You're going to pay what you're going to pay, and you're going to need what you need to produce it. This is one part of your equation where you can save a lot of money. And so if you're up around 7% and you borrow a quarter million, we're going to save, let's say, $17,000 for argument's sake, with when you take the $1,000 fee off. That's significant. That's a savings that can either be used elsewhere, could be just saved. This is a real sticker shock slide for that reason, because I think we often talk about, well, I'm only paying a few percent more at my bank. Well, this is a few percent more. When you talk about interest-free money and a lower rate if you go beyond the 250, these are real numbers. And this is why the program exists. It's an agricultural and Agri-Food Canada program. It's administered by ACC for farmers. And so that's why this exists, and it's why you'll see in a few slides our growth is really, really ramping up because people are finding us, and the math makes sense. And so that's why this slide is particularly helpful to convey that for farmers that maybe haven't really looked into the APP or aren't sure. So let's get down to some of the fine print here. So as I said, it's $1,000 is the fee for the year, and that's it. There's no other costs. If you're a new applicant, we'll need a little bit of information. We'll need your citizenship, just your driver's license, that kind of thing. We might need a little bit of information about your business, about whether you're a sole proprietorship or if you're incorporated. And you do need to be enrolled in either production insurance or agri-stability. And that's basically it. There's less paperwork and a less rigorous kind of credit risk element in working with us. Again, we're not a bank, we're a nonprofit. And so, this is a government program where we can be a little more liberal with some of these things. And, nonetheless, our default rate is very, very low. And so, the program works, and we have a lot of farmers who've been with us for 20 plus years. I was at the London Farm Show back in March, and I met a gentleman who he borrowed from us in our very first year in 1992 as a much younger man, and he still does. And so, there are farmers that do swear by this program. Um, when you call in, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is our level of customer service. And in the last 3 years or so, we've gone from about 25 staff to over 50. And well, they've hired guys like me to market. There's only two of us in the marketing, but most of the folks that they've hired are on the phones, and they're lending and repayment specialists. So when you phone us, you can complete an application over the phone in about under 20 minutes. And if you're renewing and you've already been in the program, that's probably going to be about 10 minutes. We can get things done fairly quickly over the phone. The folks on the phone will be able to ask about your business, what is it you're producing, and kind of figure out what you qualify for in terms of the top amount. and what you're comfortable with. If you want to take a full 250,000 interest free, if it's less, that's fine. If we need a bank priority agreement, we'll work with the bank to do that. It isn't always. And pretty much we work as you would with your bank now. You can do everything online. We'll transfer the funds electronically into your bank account. You can make payments when repayment time comes back to us electronically. And you can even check, you can set up on our portal and basically check, keep on top of the status of your account like you would with a cable account or a bank account. So, we try and make it as easy as we can to work with ACC. Our customer service survey that we have in place tells us we're doing a great job, and it tells us with the odd comment where we can get better. And so that process of improvement is ongoing. So how does it work with veal? Well, the when we're talking about livestock, the program duration is April 1st of the year to March 15th of the next year. So there's a couple of options. Um, Standard livestock, anytime that you sell, you'll get the money up front when you buy the cattle, and then you can repay us each time you sell once you get paid, whatever that increment of time is. Maybe it's every month, maybe it's every quarter, what have you. Most farmers opt for the continuous flow. And what that does is basically, let's say you were to borrow now in May, and then you can basically buy and sell cattle throughout the year and just repay us once with the sales receipts on March 15th of 2026. It's a lot easier. It means less paperwork for you. You can just, keep track of what you're buying and what you're selling. And then we just need, in some cases we don't need proof of sales, but if it is required and you can talk to your rep about that, then that can be done at the end of the year. So basically you can borrow from us and pay us back all at once, and just under a year down the road. It's a lot easier to do it this way, and it's been designed. We actually had the government change some elements of continuous flow to be easier for farmers, and most livestock borrowers do it that way. So again, it's very much focused on what's easiest for you as the producer. And those are the options. The continuous flow being the favored one. So I know there's probably some people who worked with us years ago and got fed up, and that's fair. I think, if you look at 2012 to 2024, there's been a lot of changes, and it's no coincidence that those changes have happened under our CEO, Jay Atkins, who's been in agriculture a very long time, and he's been able to streamline a lot of things. So, 15 years ago, let's say 10 plus years ago, it would have been a mess trying to figure what application form to use. Now there's only three. There's one for the advanced payments program and one each for a couple of other provincial programs that we offer as well. The application pages are no longer 52 that you need to fill in by hand and fax in. It's three that you can fill in with our rep over the phone. Funding timeline usually, in the past would take a couple months. Now it takes a couple weeks. We do have online statements and online payments available for you. In the last 6, 7 years, we've invested a lot of money in a new system called AgriLoan, and that allows us, with that software, to do all these things faster and a lot more easily. The only thing that, I think you can bank on too is that our customer service level is excellent. And the people on the phones, they know the programs, they work with farmers every day, and they'll be able to answer your questions. So if you are gun shy about working with us because of a past experience, I just ask to give us a chance. Let us prove that it has changed for the better. I wanted to show this because I know there are a few farmers who go, "Oh, well, I don't want to upset my banker by working with ACC." This is basically a survey, another one we have ongoing about how people heard of us, and there's we're going to do over 4,000 loans this year. But if you think about the number of thousands of farmers in the provinces we work in, there's still a lot of people that either haven't heard of us, or or don't work with us for whatever reason. Well, how do they hear about us? Well, most of it is over the farm gate, as they say, over the fence. Returning producers talk a lot about and say, "Hey, you can save money with ACC." Second, and second, there's another farmer. So basically, returning producers and other farmers talking within the community. Not third there, you can see is a financial institution. We have a lot of banks refer their clients to us because they already have their mortgage and their tractor lease, whatever. Um, and so what they can do is they can be a bit of the hero and say, listen, I can't give you a great rate right now. Credit markets are a little tight, but you can get what you need at a very, very cheap rate with ACC. Give them a call. And so I do presentations like this to all the big banks. I've done them with RBC, TD, Libro, done them with BMO, Scotia, and we get referrals from all those places because when I found that a lot of the folks that are agricultural account reps out there in the market, they do care about their clients. They want to do the best they can for their clients. And if referring them to ACC means that they can do that, then they have no problem making that recommendation. So you can see that as much as I'm out there now we've got a better website, I talk to accountants, I talk to other member organizations. Banks are a big one that we work with because they like our program and they refer clients to our program. This is just kind of showing you the growth. We had kind of very stagnant or no growth for a long time. You can see that both in terms of customers and the amount we're lending has gone up significantly in the last few years. It coincides with our inflationary elements in the economy and input prices going up. And a little bit with the fact that we're out there now talking about it a little more too. So, we did 23 is a, in 24 we did I think just over 3,100 APP loans, and we'll clear 4,000. So again, that growth is really almost hockey sticking a little bit for us, and it's because it's a good program. People are learning about it. We are on social media, and certainly with our member organizations such as Ontario Veal Farmers, we try and share content and announcements and that kind of thing on our social media platforms. And again, if you want to apply, easiest thing is to give us a call at 888-278-8807. You can shoot us an email at advance@agcreditcorp.ca. If you want to browse a little bit first, there's our URL as well. And the 2025 program year is underway. It kind of got underway in April, but that's okay. You can apply anytime. Just give us a call, talk to one of our reps, let them know you're a new applicant or someone who hasn't worked with us in a long time, and they'll get you sorted out, get your application done on the phone, and get that money into you as quickly as we can. It's a lot faster. If you want to shoot me an email, that's fine as well. Be happy to answer any questions. And with that, I'll send it back over to Patrick and Jennifer. And just again, thank you very much um, for having me on today. I'm looking forward to working more with you guys as we get into the 25 season.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott. We really appreciate you sharing more information about ACC's operating finance programs, which can help grain-fed veal producers navigate fluctuating market conditions with confidence. For folks watching the webinar, if there's anything you'd like clarified, expanded, or you have a question about, please feel free to email us as well at events@vealfarmers.ca. And we're going to share the responses to the questions that Scott gives us with the Finishing Grade-Fed Veal in Ontario private Facebook group. So once again, thank you for your time. This concludes the third talk in the Managing Risks, Mastering Markets on Demand webinar series. Thank you for watching, and be sure to visit vealfarmers.ca/on-demand to find more webinars in this series. Take care.